I was at the Miami Mall. This was not a hoax. I was at the Bayside Marketplace on New Year's Day. To those who don't know, something unexplainable happened that night. Something that the authorities covered up and put off as teens starting a riot. While I wish that were the case, it's far from the truth. I don't know if putting this out there is the best idea, but I can't hold my tongue any longer. You see, I'm a construction worker in the Miami area. While I don't have any children of my own, I have a little sister who means the world to me. She's an honor student with straight A's who's about to go off to university. While I spent my youth staying in trouble, she studied hard. And before she leaves, I wanted to do something nice for her. That evening when I got off of work, I planned to go to the mall and buy her a nice handbag. Little did I know, something happened there that changed my entire life. As I pulled into the parking lot, the moon shined bright in the sky. Cars were parked as far as the eye could see, though this was nothing new, as places like this constantly stayed packed. I walked in still wearing my dirty uniform with my name tag printed on the chest. People filled the floor, shopping and celebrating the new year with friends. I wasn't much of a shopper, so I planned to grab the bag and go. I walked into the store and saw the many purses they had in stock. Some wore price tags that climbed into the tens of thousands. While I did admire my genius little sis, I didn't love her that much. I could feel the eyes on me as I looked around. This place was usually for a higher class of people, but regardless, I found one that was within a reasonable price range. It was white and had one of those famous designers' names embroidered onto it. It seemed perfect for a nice-looking young girl like her. I grabbed it and walked over to the register to pay. The preppy woman had a look in her eye like she was afraid to touch me. But it didn't matter. I was proud of my sister and she deserved to be rewarded. After she bagged the purse up, I was ready to leave. But that's when it happened. I saw people running in droves, their faces filled with terror and shock, not looking back no matter what. I walked into the confusion to see what was going on. That's when I saw them, strange shadow-like creatures walking through the mall. There were about 5 of them, and they all had to be at least 12 feet tall, all slinking around like creatures from a sci-fi film. With a fight-or-flight response, I turned to join the crowd in running, dropping my sister's purse like it was yesterday's trash. But as I began running, one of those creatures towered above me. I stood frozen in terror. The entity looked down on me with purple orb-like eyes. Before I knew it, I began to float up into the air. The strange being lifted me high enough to match eyes with it. The smog-like substance it seemed to be made of began flooding my mouth and nose. I thought I was a goner, but oddly enough I could still breathe. In my head, however, my mind began playing my thoughts like a movie. From my childhood all the way to my adult years. All the good, the bad, I relived it all in a single moment. At first I thought it was my life flashing before my eyes. But I soon realized that this being was watching with me, learning everything it could, even going through my darkest and most vulnerable thoughts. After what seemed like forever, I was placed safely back on the ground. I then stood in shock as the smoky creature slinked away and disappeared, joining the other creatures that had invaded the sprawling shopping center. Once it was over, I sprinted out of the mall, honestly feeling violated and terrified by this whole experience. Outside, cop cars lined the streets in an unbelievable turnout. There was no doubt in my mind they had to be preparing for war, in an attempt to protect and drive these horrible invaders away. But sadly, I would be sorely mistaken. As time passed, I began to hear them talking about a riot being started, that a bunch of teenagers were throwing fireworks and fighting. I was naturally confused. There were never any rowdy kids. There weren't any fireworks either, just ungodly beings not from this world. Why were they trying to hide it? I would attempt to talk to several officers, but they didn't want to hear it. They all blew me off and looked at me like I was insane. After a few days passed, things only got worse. The media had completely blamed this on teenagers, with everyone making jokes about what really happened. I even heard of people's phones being confiscated before videos could be posted. Meanwhile, I had to start going to therapy, as the nightmares I had became unbearable. In my dreams, I would be wandering aimlessly through a barren and cold world. It was filled with the same gigantic smoke-like beings. I watched them creep around, feeling like I was trapped. Every morning I would wake up in a cold sweat, terrified but thankful that I was at home. I told my therapist about this, but he tried searching for a more logical explanation, saying that maybe I fell and hit my head during all the confusion. But that's not what happened. I will never forget what I saw that day. The media and everyone can believe what they want, but I know what I saw. I've never believed in stuff like this, but it was real. And I fear every day that I might run into one of those things again. Not just that, but I shudder every time I recall that entity invading my mind. If anyone out there isn't afraid, share your story. They can't hide the truth forever.